Today I'm at Madison Square Park in the beautiful Flatiron District of New York City, and for lunch I'm going to a restaurant that's gotten a lot of buzz and hype lately, and I'm gonna see if that holds up. The restaurant is called Skirt Steak and is purported to have one of the best steak deals in New York City. Basically, the establishment offers a Prix Fixe menu with a salad, unlimited fries, and skirt steak for $28. Price-wise, that does sound like a pretty good deal in this day and age, which in some respects explains the massively long lines at dinner time and the extreme popularity of the restaurant. The fact is, as much as I want to, I can't always go to Peter Luger or Keen's Steakhouse for a steak. As a result, Skirt Steak sounds like a nice alternative. Plus, I've heard a lot of great things about the establishment being a great place for a date. I'll see if this is true as I'm taking myself out to the restaurant for a solo date, which is sadly the case for like almost every restaurant I go to, but food, that's my #1 love. And without any further delay, onwards to Skirt Steak. Skirt Steak is a very straightforward restaurant. Everyone knows what they'll be eating before stepping through the door. When prices are constantly rising, the deal offered by the establishment has proven to be very compelling, resulting in long lines and waits at dinner time, as Skirt Steak doesn't take reservations. I arrived for a weekday lunch at around 12 and had no problem getting in. The interior design is interesting. It seems as though someone built the wooden structure of a suburban home inside the building and simply stopped construction. The aesthetic extends to the washroom, where it felt as if I were taking care of business in an elevated wooden shipping crate. The placemat serves as Skirt Steak's menu, but it's more so a reminder of what one already knew they were going to eat. However, one does have the option of substituting a burger for the steak, and I've also heard that one could request a seared cauliflower steak in place of the meat. Regarding drinks, I wouldn't say the menu is affordable, as draft beers clock in at $10, but the cocktails were $14, which isn't terrible. Within a minute of placing my order, the bread and salad arrived. When everyone is ordering practically the same thing, it makes sense that the service is quick and efficient. My bread was okay. It had nice flavor, but it was incredibly small. It wouldn't fill up a bird. In fact, it felt as if I were eating purely the bread's crust. Still, it was alright. The salad, on the other hand, was an adequate portion size. It had big leafy greens, a lemon mustard vinaigrette, and dill. I liked it. Before even finishing my salad, my steak and fries arrived. The steak is trimmed to an 8-ounce portion and looks much smaller in person. It's served alongside a cup of black pepper béarnaise sauce. At first, I tried the steak just as it was, and it was delicious. It was perfectly cooked with a beautiful pink color and a nice textured exterior with a punch of salt. While Skirt Steak is a cut of beef that is known as being a bit tough, my steak was pretty tender and had a wonderful beefy flavor. Next, I poured on the béarnaise. Honestly, the steak is so delicious by itself that it doesn't need the sauce, but I did enjoy the added flavor profile. On the side were my unlimited fries. These were solid and quite addictive to munch on between bites of my steak. They were hot and fresh with a fluffy interior and a decent crisp on the outside with an appropriate amount of salt. When I was nearing the end of my plate, I was asked if I wanted more, and my supply was quickly replenished. I certainly enjoyed the $28 Prix Fixe menu, but I also saved room for a supplementary dessert course. The desserts are pre-made and are served from an eye-catching cart. Everything looked incredible, and I appreciated the theatrics of the display. I chose a strawberry tart. While it didn't make the cleanest transfer to my plate, it really delivered on flavor. The strawberries were nice and fresh, and the tart was perfectly baked. The dessert was a pleasant ending to my meal at Skirt Steak. Overall, I was very satisfied with my experience. I Just had a pretty decent lunch at Skirt Steak. I do think the restaurant's overhyped, but food-wise, I enjoyed everything I had, and the price was right. To me, it's just not the place I'd want to stand and wait in line for. If it's a short wait, that's no problem. I'm just talking about like the 40, the 50-minute, the hour-long waits. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. As a date spot, I think it's a good spot for a lunch. I mean, it's not super crowded. It's a little more laid back and casual. I do hear people complaining about that the service seems a little rushed at dinner time, and I can see that. I mean, when you're trying to accommodate so many diners, yeah, I could picture things getting a little hectic. And with a full crowd, I can see it being a pretty loud and noisy establishment, not the place for an intimate dinner conversation. But weekday lunch, I think it's definitely pretty laid back, pretty casual, easygoing service, and the service was good, at least in my experience. No complaints in that respect. The highlight for me was definitely the steak, and that's why you come to a restaurant like Skirt Steak. It's certainly not as big as I would have liked, but it's very flavorful. The unlimited French fries were pretty good. The salad's nice. The bread, yeah, it was okay. I mean, the whole concept of the restaurant is nice. It's very straightforward, and the price, yeah, I think it's worth it. Although it should be noted that one can find Skirt Steak and other similar options throughout the city in Colombian and Latin American restaurants at similar or even cheaper price points than Skirt Steak. Is this the best steakhouse deal in New York City? I don't know, but it's still a good deal. And the food is good though, but it's not that traditional steakhouse with the T-bones, the filet mignons, the ribeyes. I mean, it's different, but it's good. Overall, Skirt Steak is a very overhyped restaurant, but it's still a good restaurant. It's worth going to if you don't have to wait long, and no complaints about the food. Everything I had was pretty nice, especially the Skirt Steak, and that's why you come to a restaurant like that.